Well, g'day, folks. How you doing this very fine Wednesday? And yes, I'm still in Mannum. Got to thank Vince for all the work that he's been doing for me here. Absolute legend. Talk about, well, he certainly knows electronics. He's my computer guru, but he also is very handy with a multimeter. We found so many busted wires, bent wires, things that don't work in this vehicle. Lights, in fact, every light that runs down the middle of the joint didn't work until this morning, but Vince has sorted that bit out. Every light on the outside of the vehicle that's meant to be used for just, keeping a bit of brightness out there at night didn't work. But thanks to Vince, today it does. We have almost figured out our remote control for the inverter issue, maybe, possibly. Well, when I say we, I mean Vince. And he has been nothing but a godsend. And I didn't ask him to do any of this, but thank him so much for the effort that he's put in. He's a legend, and he probably won't be in the chat tonight because right now he's got that remote control unit for the inverter for the bus, and he's trying to fix it for me. So thank you very much to Vince. He's putting in a huge effort to keep us on the road and try and improve things from the road while we're at it. He also did my fuel numbers today. Bit shocking. We'll talk about those at another point, but yeah, not very nice. Thanks to everybody who turned up in Mannum last night for the show at the Mannum Community Club. We had a great day, or a great night, and a few folks this morning up at the bakery caught up for another chat. And Dave, who turned up yesterday to meet me and say hi, came back today and brought me a tool that he'd made to help me get my awning down off the side of the vehicle. Absolutely stunning tool. Love the people. The ingeniousness of people is absolutely amazing. So Dave's just a legend, and comes from a little town just not far from Mount Pleasant, not far from here. And we'll probably go cruise through there tomorrow, give you a bit of a wave on the way through. We're off to Gawler tomorrow and meeting up with Tim Dwyer, where he's going to put the H2 unit on this vehicle. So hydrogen powered is how we will be after tomorrow, thankfully. Let's see how much difference it makes. Hopefully it'll make a big difference because, well, shit, we need it. I can tell you, we are chewing through fuel at a phenomenal rate. Now, some interesting things are going on in the world at the moment regarding, well, the world in general. If you have an Alexa unit in your house, why don't you ask it when World War III is going to start? Just say, or hey, Google, or hey, Alexa, when will World War III start? Ask it that question. You're likely to get the answer November 23rd, 2023, when Russia attacks someone. Weird, don't you think? Weird. The other thing that seems to be playing out here at the moment is a solution was offered for Israel. It was brokered by China, Brazil, Russia, and a few others. And it was rejected, not by Israel, but by America, Britain, France. Needed 9 member nations to support it. They got 5. The other 4 big ones opposed it, and the other nations just didn't bother voting. The West wants a war, folks, and they want it in Israel. Have you heard anything about what's going on in Ukraine? Of course you haven't. It's finished. It's over. Now the big news is in Israel. In fact, I got news from a lady I know left Ukraine, had a business in Ukraine. A hairdressing business in Ukraine, a very good hairdressing business in Ukraine, but she's Polish. So when all the rigmarole started, she left and went back to Poland to her family, and has been there ever since, up until recently, where she decided she would go back into the Ukraine just to see what was left of her business, whether or not there was anything she could recover, maybe bring back to Poland. And when she got there, she discovered that everything was good, everything was fine. And so fine, in fact, she contacted the family and said, I'm not coming back. Everything's fine here. I'm staying, reopening the business. So what's going on in Ukraine? Weird as shit. But there is a lot of other stuff going on around the world. And right now, the US, Israel, France, Britain want a war. And they want to do it in the Middle East, which is a bit frightening. We'll get onto that again a bit later on. I've been promising to bring Darren Borth on, and after last night, I'm probably in for a bit of a slag. Darren, of course, is the normal head of My Place Australia, and the guy who came up with the idea. he has been tirelessly working not just around setting up communities, but he's working on common law. He's working on, well, a number of different things. And today we thought we'd bring him in for a bit of an update. How are you, mate? Good to have you back.
Oh, I'm good, Carl. How are you going?
Yeah, I'm a little tired. The driving takes it out of me, but I've been lucky enough to be in Mannum for a couple of days now and settling down. So Vince has been just a godsend to try and fix a few of the things on the vehicle. So yeah, we've had a really good last couple of days. Looking forward to catching up with Tim Dwyer tomorrow, and not only getting the H2 unit on, but we'll have a bit of a talk about constitutions and ways forward. And that's essentially what you've been doing a bit of research on recently.
Yeah, correct. And yeah, good on Vince. He's a workhorse, mate. He does a lot of work for yourself, obviously, and for My Place Australia, and for Tim too, I believe. So yeah, he's an amazing resource, and you're lucky that you got him on board. And he's technically he's very switched on. So which is pretty good, because you and I are probably a little bit abstract when it comes to technical stuff.
Yes, that's a good way of putting it. Yes.
Yeah. So that aside, awesome. You've had a chance to kind of put your feet up, have a bit of a rest, and I'm kind of I went out and spoke at My Place Roval. Now I haven't got my Place hat on tonight. I've got my Darren hat on tonight. So the stuff that I'm speaking about tonight isn't a My Place position, or it's not coming from My Place. It's just an overall kind of thing. But I'm certainly glad that everyone's got the old referendum out of their system last Saturday, and I think everyone was very happy with the result and the numbers. I was very happy with the result also. Different numbers to what other people were happy with. I was stoked that 3.9 million people decided not to cast a vote in the referendum. That was my aim, and it still is. And now that that's over and done with, I'm hoping a lot of the people that thought that this would be the last time that they would vote can really stick to that, and we can move forward, and gain some momentum to be just totally non-consenting with the whole system, basically, because we all know the system is broken. So I've made it my kind of one of my projects now, which we spoke about the other day, is to try and encourage more people to step away. And for many years we voted with pencils. For the last two or 3 years we've been voting with pens because we had some new knowledge and thought maybe it's better if we vote with pens so they can't rub it out. Well, I've moved another step past voting with pens, which I actually was encouraging people to do at the federal election when I ran last year. And now I would encourage people to be voting with their feet. And that basically means walking away from the system en masse. And the Queensland state election next year is a perfect opportunity for this country, and especially the Queenslanders, to make a statement, like a real statement, not a statement of voting no, but a statement of non-compliance, a statement of lack of respect for the system, and also a vote of no confidence. So if we could, and there are no figures, we are still searching, but there are no definite figures of what would make an election illegitimate as far as voter turnout. We are still researching to see if there is something, but it doesn't matter if there is or there isn't. The point is, if we could actually get a 50% plus voter non-turnout, and which that in itself, that's your vote. Your vote is to not vote, and that vote would be a vote of no confidence in the system, in all bureaucracies and all levels of government in Queensland. And so I think the Queensland, and that goes for local council elections too, that are coming up all around the country next year. This has to be a movement that we all start to walk towards, because at the end of the day, and I only thought about this coming home from work today after answering a couple of questions with someone that had posted, I think it was in My Place Geelong, saying that, luckily common sense kind of prevailed and we got the no vote up. And I just kind of wrote back, well, it depends on what angle you're coming from and what knowledge you have when it comes to common sense. So, and that got me thinking a bit further. And when it comes down to it, it comes down to where are people's morals at the end of the day? Because most people in this movement are aware, and they're actually supporting a system that supports child trafficking, mass genocide, treason, fraud, crimes against humanity, and so on and so on. And I mean, the list would be bloody the length of my arm. So the system supports all of those things, in my opinion. And if we support the system, then in turn, we are actually supporting a system that is facilitating and supportive and protective of all of those crimes. So that's a whole new level that people, and we're supposed to be a Christian democracy or a Christian society where there's a lot of people that have a lot of faith in all different religions in this country. And what I'm asking them to do is to ask themselves, where are my morals? Why am I supporting a system that supports all of those things that I've just mentioned? So people have got some hard questions to ask themselves and some deep thinking to do, I believe. And I really think this could be the catalyst when you put it like that and people really start to think about what they are supporting. Maybe this will be the catalyst for a massive, massive push for non-compliance.
So we've seen that the bureaucracy now have outed themselves as, well, probably the greater part of the enemy. But state politicians are clearly falling on that side too. They're instigating the voice or treaty state at a state level, which is actually illegal. States can't enter into treaty with anybody. Only federal government can enter into treaty. But the other problem that I would have thought they have is that you cannot put a blanket treaty on First Nations people, because one of the first tenets of First Nations people is one tribe cannot speak for another tribe. So it would need to be a treaty with every individual tribe in Australia.
But that's the way we look at it, and we look at it as looking at it through the eyes of our 1901 Australian Commonwealth Constitution Act. But is that act actually ours? In their system and in our acquiescence, we potentially or are. Now, I don't agree with it because I believe it's fraud from the get-go. But we, in their eyes, are on their citizenship. And yes, every single one of us that's been born since after 1950 certainly have been signed onto their citizenship, and we've taken all benefits on offer in all different aspects through our birth certificates and our driver's licenses and the fake dollar. So we don't actually have standing if you look at it from their point of view, and I believe that's why they don't necessarily recognise when we try to use the 1901 Constitution. Because if you're going to use that Constitution, then you need to know who you are, and you need to be standing in your sovereignty, and you need to know what realm you're in. And while you're on their citizenship, that, in the way I see it, that Constitution isn't available to you.
Well, it would make sense that way, yes, because the Constitution reflects the people running it, not the people living it.
Correct. So in their Constitution, they can do as they damn well please, and they do. I mean, we've just obviously seen, and I was sprouting this all the way through, that I was trying to get people to think about whether they voted or not. We had a referendum in 1988 regarding a third level of government, and I've been through that speech, and we still have it. And in fact, they're the worst government of all, bringing in the United Nations and the World Economic Forum into our backyards. So, and I was saying it doesn't matter what you vote for. And once again, less than a week, 4 days after the referendum, and we see the belligerently what these people are doing. They don't give a shit.
No, they don't. Let me prove it to you. Queensland, the VoF Act is coming up. Ownership and use of country, recognising our rights to country, setting this right and compensation. The Queensland path to treaty has already been written up. It is in the Queensland Parliament. And today, Krista Foley, the Queensland opposition leader, has come out and said, we're going to support the introduction of the voice on a state-based level. However, what he doesn't see is compensation, reparation, right of veto, talk of sovereignty. None of that's on the agenda. So what bullshit is that? What are you going to introduce then? Because you've just taken out everything they're looking for. So, but that's Queensland. I think Victoria are coming up. New South Wales are going to push for treaty. The Victorians are going to go and push for treaty. So everybody's going to go and try and ram it through on a state-based basis. We heard yesterday from Australia One, I beg your pardon, from One Nation. We hear nothing from Australia One. I'll just point that out. One Nation are going to fight this on a state level, where they can on every level. This needs to be fought on a federal level as well. How can the states enact a law that the federal government clearly can't? So it goes against what they're hoping to do is, I think, sneak all this through, and then when the next election comes along, hope we've forgotten about it. They'll have another, thing for us to focus on. Look here, look here, look here. Forget what you did over there. Vote for us again.
Yep. And being the fools that we are, and have been and continue to be, in my opinion, yes, we will have. It'll be okay. I mean, it's like the what was the biosecurity bill that Andrews brought in 12 or 18 months ago, and everyone was getting their knickers in the knot about and jumping up and down and screaming, and we've moved on from that now and that's exactly what they do. There'll always be something. Though.
That law's still in effect.
Correct. So, and they have us running around like headless chooks, and we keep facilitating while they sit back, put their feet up and watch us and piss themselves laughing at what we're doing.
Yeah.
When we need to all get on a page, and we cannot be accepting anything but the non-consent, non-compliance, shutting the country down in whatever way we can, has to start to build some momentum. And and when you look at it logically, and you look at the facts of what we know about what I just said before, that the system supports all of those evil crimes. Okay, and we're supporting the system because the system runs on money, and the system runs on us voting and us acquiescing or accepting their authority. And we're doing all of those things. We're still spending money with all the multinational corporations which prop this system up. We're still going along and voting. We're still, signing petitions and crawling on our hands and knees begging for them to stop. And seriously, I don't know. We've been trying to do that for many, many decades, and the position this country is in now is 100 times worse than it was 20 or 30 years ago. So at some point, people need to change it up and say, we've got to take a different position. We've got to take a different angle. Let's try something right out of the box and get on board.
Yeah, exactly right. How do we get more bodies on board? How do we make this easier for people to understand?
Well, I think how I explained it before, I think we go to all the religious leaders, the church groups, and explain to their followers that our system is actually supporting, in my opinion, this is just my view, and I think a lot of people would have the same one. Child trafficking, all the things I said before: treason, crimes against humanity, mass genocide. All of the things that they've done. Our trashing our human rights, treason, fraud, extortion. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And the system is designed to support all of those things. That's what the system is. And we are in the system, and we don't want to leave it. We want to somehow think that we can deal with these terrorists and make peace. And where has that gotten us? All right, it's we're going further and further down every day. So until people actually can look at this and process what I'm saying, and start to think long and hard about what they're facilitating and what they're supporting, then it comes back to their morals. What are my morals? Not my beliefs, not my brainwashed, system agenda that I've always followed. I have to start looking at this. Who am I? And am I going to continue to facilitate and support a system that does all of those things? It's a pretty simple question. The hardest bit is people to actually take ownership that they are supporting that kind of a system. But it's just got to be spoken about. The conversation has to start, and we have to really, really look deeply into this. And that's all I'm trying to do. Start a conversation.
Can I just ask why you picked on church groups there? Why we should go to church groups and talk?
Well, they're all very on the moral high ground.
Yeah, but I would go so far as to say, like Samantha suggests here, churches are fairly corrupt, particularly the Catholic ones.
I'm not. Yeah, okay. So I'm not talking once again about the leadership and that's the same with the groups. It's not the leadership that we need to convince, because there's leadership that are taking people in the wrong direction, either unknowingly, or there are leadership taking people in the wrong direction deliberately, and we know that's a fact. All right, that is just the way this game gets played. So it's not the leadership; it's the hearts and the minds of the people that we need to kind of tug at, and their morals and where they're at. Okay, so yeah, I'm not interested in talking to the leaders.
So we become a moral group that is able to express our feelings in a clear and concise, unabusive manner. We're dealing with an amoral, other side of the coin in most cases. Do we need to develop a bit of personal strength, a bit of balls to stand up to these people if we are going to rest on our morals? It's great to say I've got high morals, but you also got to be brave enough to, back up your stance on that. And a lot of people don't like confrontation, whether it be physical or verbal or, anything like that, and they will acquiesce or step back. How do we give them the strength to follow through? Is it we all turn up en masse in block and hold hands and sing Kumbaya loudly, or what do we do?
No, well, I think that that already has come a long way in the last 2 years from where we started this. It's longer than 2 years, but the real fight's only been for the last 2 years since the vaccines were introduced and mandated. The lockdowns were just a bit of a warm-up. So I think there's already a lot of people, that, myself included, that were very nervous about going to court and didn't have the knowledge to be confident in doing that process. So I think what we've learnt over the time and the tyranny and the sheer need for this, the necessity to be able to have to do this, has increased. And I think that the people that are still on the first few pages of this book, they'll get to their point as well. So it's an evolution and it's a journey that more and more people, and it's always been a numbers game. But we've just our numbers have been fragmented in so many different ways, because I think nobody really knew what we should do at the start. It was rallies and walk the streets and protests, and that's all any of us had at the very start. But obviously we've evolved from that, and we're coming up with strategies and different ways to move forward. And I just believe that the old ways have never worked, and they're not going to. And we've got to come up and be more creative and be more courageous. And when we get the numbers, it was like the rallies when we were getting shot at in September 2021. And then they kind of stopped that. The lockdowns got lifted in October and we started rallying again. The first couple of rallies was only 50,000, 100,000. And then when people saw that there was there was nothing happening and they were peaceful, more and more people got on board until the last one, the big one in November 2021, we had somewhere around 400 to 500,000 people. So it will grow in stature. It will grow with numbers as people see that there are numbers. Most people will jump on board if something's starting to happen. They won't start it, but they will jump on board and get on the gravy train. So I think we've just got to start it. We really do have to press this hard over the next 3 months, and that's what I will be doing. One of the projects I'll be doing.
Well, you are a very busy man, and I know a couple of those other projects you're doing. Do you want to tell us about them?
Yeah, well, the other one is it kind of goes a little bit with the whole system and the fact that we're stuck in a system that we don't need to be stuck in. And as you know, I've only been learning about our constitution for the last 18 months, and I've learned a lot. I still don't know a lot as well, but there's other aspects to this, and I'm been studying a lot of Stephen Spire's work lately. Through Juha, who you know as well, met in Sydney, and that started off very rocky when we first started talking, and we had some arguments.
I'd say we've taken a couple of the peaks off those rocks, but there's still a few.
Yeah, but that's okay because it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me, and look, I'm big enough to accept that there's going to be arguments, and we need to move on and just look at the forget about the personalities and the egos, whatever it is that people think that it is, and look at the information. And all I care about and all I want is the facts, and I want a solid basis, a solid ground to land on, basically. And I've been searching for that for 2 years. Look, I won't commit to anything 100% until I know it and I get it critiqued and all the rest of it. But I am leaning very heavily towards the fact that what these guys have is potentially something quite solid. And with Remembrance Day coming up at the King's Domain on the 11th of the 11th, okay, at the Shrine of Remembrance in Melbourne, there is a pilgrimage that has started from all over Australia. So people will be coming from all over the country to come to Melbourne to the Shrine of Remembrance at the King's Domain on the 11th of the 11th at 11 a.m. So we've got to make a statement, I think, this year. Now, for all the people that don't have a deep understanding, that have their red duster, their red flags, this is a memorial service. This is to pay tribute to the Anzacs who gave us our freedom in World War One, facilitated by Billy Hughes and King George V. So I'm studying that like mad at the moment. I'm constantly talking with the crew from the Red Flag Brigade and the Kingdom of Australia. Now, there's a court case that Juha was involved with where he was charged with terrorism. There it is. Yep.
And
that's the one. So bring it along.
Do we need to explain why this is what it is?
I'll explain to the level that I'm aware of, and like I said, I'm getting more knowledge. But that original red duster, which is our land flag, and a lot of people say that it's the maritime flag, but there are two different ones. Yeah, from what I understand, and that flag was our original flag that we fought World War One and World War Two under. Okay. And that flag was usurped and removed and replaced with the blue flag, I believe, sometime around 1953. Not long after the Citizenships Act came in 1948, that transferred us out of our imperial crown. That is the flag of the imperial crown. The flag we're under at the moment is the flag of the St. Edward's crown, the Vatican, the See of Rome. Yes, correct. So there's a lot of research. I've only got part of the story, a really small part, but I am ever keen to learn more, and I've got some really good mentors, and I will learn this more and more. But there is a pilgrimage coming to Melbourne, and a lot of the Red Flag Brigade are coming on the 11th. And I would call out everyone in this country that wants to learn a little bit more about our history, about our true history, to come along and have a look at that foundation stone that was laid in 1926. And that building, I think the first Remembrance Day was 1934, and they had 300,000 people turn up to that one. So at some stage in the not too distant future, we want to get 300,000, 500,000, maybe even 1 million people to that hallowed ground. Because our freedom lies within, and that foundation stone was presented, and our sovereignty was handed to us for the loss of the 62,000 Anzacs in World War One, and those Anzacs were multiple. We had a lot of First Nation. I think there was over 2,500 First Nation Anzacs in that 62,000 that lost their lives, or that fought alongside us as we the people. And there's a lot there, and that stone anchors the heaven to the earth, and that is our sovereignty, that is our freedom, right there.
So I view World War One and World War Two as sacrifices. They were sacrifices to Baal, or Moloch, or Satan, or whatever you want to call him. But these were engineered events that were essentially sacrifices to their evil god. Does that change your position in all of this? Because it sort of seems like we're on half the same page. If we're looking at the spiritual aspects, and if we want to go to King George V and the fact that he did or didn't give Australia or cede Australia from the Commonwealth, give its own autonomy, give it its own
realm.
Its own realm. Yeah.
Yep.
So we had that taken off us again in 1948.
Yep.
But we didn't know that then. We didn't
Correct.
even know George V had done it. So there is some serious grey areas there that we need to flesh out, isn't there?
There is. And look, I know there's a lot of people that kind of poo-poo this Stephen's work and all the rest of it, and I don't know whether that's through ego or whether it's through personality or whatever it is.
It's through questioning. It's got nothing to do with ego. The fact of the matter is to simply acquiesce and accept what Stephen Spires says from his little hole in the ground in Cooktown is not going to happen. All right? The man can barely string 4 words together. He can't present his own argument. He needs other people to present it. Those other people have to be able to understand it. And it's not easy to understand. He is not the only one pushing forward an argument. All right?
No.
What makes Stephen Spires' argument right? Nothing, as far as I'm concerned, until I can confirm it against everything else. We've got to look at everything.
It's got to be open for discussion. But it's got to be read. Yeah. It's got to be read in depth and looked at. And I don't know that anyone's done that.
But you just don't want to accept it because you've read it.
I'm not accepting. Right? No, I didn't say we're accepting it. It needs to be critiqued and it needs to be discussion had. 100%. But the work that he's done, yes, they're frustrated and they don't come across in a way that's easy for people to kind of comprehend. But we need to look at the work and we need to discuss. And if people have issue with any part of it, let's get some explanations for those issues. And that's all I'm saying is that I'm just studying, okay? And that's the same with everything I've done is study, learn, listen to people, listen to other people, and then try and come up with a common ground. But at the end of the day, and like I was alluding to before with Juha and his when he was charged with terrorism charges in New South Wales for calling for the overthrow of the government. Now, in that court case, and he was locked up, and I'm not sure how long he was in jail for, but he was in jail for a fair amount of time. Yep. When that court case came through, and it was in the Common Law Division of the Supreme Court of New South Wales, Kiskonen versus New South Wales. It's about a 44-page transcript, which I have. And the judge made comment that he had a curial right to call for the lawful overthrow of the government and that the Kingdom of Australia was not a terrorist organisation. Now, that's a pretty compelling statement from a Supreme Court justice as far as I'm concerned. So once again, not many people, when I talk to people, I've talked to 3 people in the last week about Stephen's work and trying to, push me away from it. And when I've brought up that one comment about the court case, it stopped their conversation in its tracks and they didn't even know about it. And it sounded like something significant just dropped in their brain that actually means something. So, there's so much more to this story that people aren't aware of, and we will get it out, and we will continue to dive deep into this, and we will look for people to try and rebuke it, and they can do that, and I'll take those rebukes because there is an issue with.
This is why I want to get everybody together. This is why I want to get Stephen. I want to get Juha. I want to get Tim. I want to get.
I don't think that'll work.
And Glue. Let's get them all together in a room. Let's sit them down. Let's hear every argument.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What I want to do. This is what I propose, and I will arrange.
I want to do that too.
To happen. Well, we've talked about it, so I will give them an hour to put forward their arguments. Right. We will then listen to everybody's arguments for an hour. Everybody gets an hour. And then the next day, they all face questions for an hour about their argument from the assembled crew, the assembled people, the people from the show, from wherever. Can't be just you, me, and somebody else. It's got to be the people. So we get through that. On day 3, we might be able to see where some paths are working and where some paths diverge and aren't working. Therefore, we'll be able to find a better path, a solid path for us all to follow. Day 4, we figure out how to follow, what that path should be and how we're going to action it. And day 5, we go out and motivate people. Now, can we do that? because that's where the ego is concerned. All these people who are coming up with these constitutional solutions have the ego. Will they allow us? Will they put themselves on show for an hour, and then will they put themselves on show again to have to be questioned for an hour about their stance? And at the end of it, maybe we find out that their idea was not quite as great as the next one. How's that going to go?
I would love for that. I would love for that to happen.
Me too.
I don't think it's achievable. That won't stop us trying to make that happen. But I know
the ones who don't want to step up for it aren't going to be taken seriously.
No.
How can we take them seriously if we don't give them a forum? If they won't
correct,
come to
but
the
there's
forum?
a lot of angst. There's a lot of angst, and even with Fitzy and some of the constitutionalists, there's a lot of angst there as well. And he won't deal with any of them.
Fitz has got my number. He's open to call me anytime he likes. I've asked him many times if he wants to be in on this, but he's got his nappy stuck up his ass at the moment and wants to play a child like most of these fucktards with a bloody great mental mind but very little ability to speak. So if Fitz wants to be part of the argument, he knows my phone number. All right, I'm sick and tired of asking him to come back and join. If he doesn't,
I've asked him. He won't be in the same room.
He won't
be in the same room with half a dozen.
So he is irrelevant then.
Yep.
He has put himself out of the argument. Simple.
Yep. Because I asked him if he would be part of, and I mentioned some names.
Himself out of the argument. I've had him. I've had 50 people ask him. He's a child who doesn't want to play. He wants his bat and ball. Fine, he can go and play on his own oval, but it won't be the oval we're playing on.
But I think that's
and that really hurts me to say that because I respect Fitz tremendously.
Yep,
tremendously. But I'm sick and tired of his childish tantrums, which I'm seeing from all aspects of these constitutional specialists. All right. They're children. They're autists who are very focused, and that's great, but they need to get on with the rest of the world. If you can't get on with the rest of the world, just stay in your hole and shut the fuck up.
That's the issue, and that's the issue we have. They're all on a different page, and they all, not all, but a lot of them can't stand each other and their position. Because
that's the problem. Because of their egos. Their egos don't allow them to listen to the other person's argument. It's their egos that get in the way. Every one of them can't put their ego aside, and yet they want to lecture us on our egos.
Well, so that's a good part about
aside, boys.
That's the good part about where I'm at, because I've got no knowledge about any of it. I have no preconceived positions or beliefs or anything else. I'm just trying to discover and trying to get all of these guys that have all the knowledge to come up with a consensus, a position that they're all happy to walk forward with. Now that's proven very, very problematic. I think that's been my goal from probably when I tried searching for Brian Shaw back in 2021. So, at the end of the day, we've got to find another way, and we've got to uncover the knowledge, and we can share it. And we will find a way to get these things critiqued and these arguments to come up and be rebutted in whatever way that they're rebutted. And we will go back and forth. They might not all be in the same room, but we will make it happen.
Yeah. Well, I'm prepared to make sure they come into the same room, and I'm prepared to fly them from anywhere in the country to do it. So,
look, I think we could. Everyone would raise some money to make that happen. And look, I'd love for them all to come together and do that. But anyway, look, we keep working towards that.
Would you bring Bosie in on that? Would you bring Bosie in on that?
In fact, what I was going to say tonight too is with this, this position that we're all trying to head a little bit more away from the political stuff, and I know Rick's fully on board with the that we shouldn't be voting and the whole non-consent thing. So I'm actually inviting Ricardo Bosi and all the A1 guys to come along to the Shrine of Remembrance on the 11th 11. I'd love Rick to turn up in his gear and come and pay respects. I mean, he's military through and through. Let's come and pay respects to the guys that actually gave us our sovereignty and gave us our freedom, the Anzacs from World War I on the 11th. I reckon it would show this country maybe a united front, that we can all come together and pay the respects and maybe learn a little bit more about our history at the King's Domain. So, I'm putting that invite out to Rick tonight, and anyone from around the country to come. All the A1 people, they're building all the time. Let's get together. Let's join and pay respects to our fallen fathers for their sacrifices.
I'll be there.
Yep.
Rick won't turn up. I'll be there. So,
Rick, I think Rick will come down. I think this is going to be a big Remembrance Day this year, and it's a must. It's imperative, I think, that we show a united front across the board. All the people come together on this special day at this special place.
So Bill raises a good point. The shrine's a pyramid of a fashion. It is a spiritual date based on sacrifice of Baal and Moloch. So how is what we're going to do at the shrine going to enlighten us?
It's not the sacrifice or why the sacrifice happened. Every single war that we've had has been a sacrifice. They've all been orchestrated, right? And they've funded both sides. That continues to today. So it was no different in 1914 or 1939 or any other time in history, right? Same with Vietnam, same with bloody Iraq, Afghanistan. They've all been done deliberately by the people in control to cause division. So it's not about the sacrifice or what the meaning is. We've got to take back these meanings. It's like person meaning, human meaning monster. I mean, that's in their world, right? We've got to take back the ownership of what we believe those words mean. We've got to take back the ownership of what that building means. And that building is what gives us our sovereignty, and what gives us our freedom and our realm of the Kingdom of Australia, from what I can understand. Now, I'm not signing off on that as being 100% fact, but let's do some research rather than debunking it just because you want to, because you have another belief. I'm not talking about you, but people in general. Let's look at it seriously, and then only once you've got the full picture can you then make an informed decision and debunk it. And it's the same thing with voting and continuing to support a system that is doing what it's doing to us. Right? You have full knowledge of what this system's doing and what this government's doing to the people of this country. And yet you still want to facilitate that. You still want to support that system. So I think people really need to look at the knowledge that they're gaining and once again, look at their moral compass and start to decide how they're going to move forward in this war.
There's a lot. I'm just going through the chat a bit. People are a bit concerned. I'm getting a bit upset and angry at different types. And I am angry. I'm angry at certain types because of their ego. I've dealt with ego all my life, and it means nothing to me. But when I get it waved in my face and I try and get it shoved down my throat, it doesn't work very well, because I'm very good at plucking egos and popping them. 40 years in the business does that to you. However, if ego is going to be the root of all evil, why can't these people understand and put their ego to one side? And I start with Rick and work my way back down. That is a problem.
Agreed. But what we've also got to be careful or think about also is that, when we were trying to educate the people that were lining up to get jabbed, and I did it for weeks and months before it became mandated, they didn't want to know it, right? They whatever it was, they didn't want to hear it. So they were getting angry at us when we were trying to help them, right? We had solutions for them, but they got angry at us because they didn't want to hear those solutions. Now, we're in the same boat here. Just because the people that may have solutions come across because they're frustrated, the same as what we were when we were trying to wake people up, doesn't mean that we need to get angry at them. We should all be fucking angry at the pricks that are facilitating this, that are doing the tyranny. That's where we've got to direct our anger, not at the people trying to come up with solutions. I have no issue with people coming up with solutions. Yes, they've got ego, whatever else. I just want to look through the ego, look through the angst, and look at the facts. We need solutions. I get angry. I don't get angry at them if they're abusing me. I say, okay, fine. let's have a look at it. But I just think we need to make sure that our anger is targeted in the right way at the right people, and not the people that do have part of the solution, but they were a little bit kind of insular, or they're in their echo chamber and they're not willing to look at other people's solutions and put all the solutions together and build a fucking picture. And that's what we need to do. And but don't get angry at the frustration of these people, because that's what people did to us when we were frustrated trying to wake them up.
Yeah, very true. I know you've got another speech to make in about 15 minutes, so I should let you go off and have something to eat. Thanks very much for coming on tonight. It's always a great conversation, and obviously my education has to lift. You're doing that education at the moment. Yuha hasn't sent me those books, but if I get that far, I'll get into them and read them. I'm very interested. If I have to be honest, of all the arguments I've heard so far, Stephen Spires and Yuha's presentation of that interpretation makes the most sense to me at this point. But that's not me throwing my full support behind it, because I don't know enough about it yet. None of us should throw our support behind anything until we know enough about it. And
none of us do.
Tested. Yeah.
Yep.
So I do believe that there is a solution out there, and I really do like the research and the things that have come out from Stephen Spires. It's just very, very difficult on a number of levels. Not so much the understanding; it's just difficult on a number of levels to work with. But we have to work our way through it. Got to find a way. So
we've got to be bigger. We've got to be bigger. Yeah. I mean, I had it seriously. It was a week of bloody bare knuckle brawling on Messenger. It was only a chat. It wasn't a physical one, but like we were abusing the shit out of each other. But that we turned that around to a conversation, to a couple of questions, to some information, to some thumbs up within at the end of the week. So we've just got to cut through all the bullshit and get to the facts, and that's we've all got to put that aside, and our thin skin and our hurt feelings, or whatever it is that it may be, or the abuse. Because once you build that relationship, once you have the mutual respect that you're actually listening, the whole thing changes. And we don't have a huge amount of time. We certainly don't have time to be waiting for another election, trying to get one person in there and piss fart around the edges. Like, we cannot sleepwalk through another 2 or 3 years of this bullshit, because we will be done by then. We need to step up to the plate right now. And like I said before, I'd be chuffed if Rick could get, even if he can't come down, but if he could get all the A1 people, just send the same message. Let's get everyone to the Shrine of Remembrance in Melbourne on the 11th of the 11th, and let's make this a really unifying day to remember our Anzacs that gave the ultimate sacrifice, for our freedom. They were not aware what they were going into. They didn't know that they were just pawns in the game of the cabal, and so they gave the ultimate sacrifice. We've let it slip. We've been acquiescence. We've been asleep at the wheel, and it's not the 20-year-olds and the 25-year-olds' job to get this country back. They weren't the ones that lost it. It's up to people that were born, from 1960 onwards, as far as I'm concerned. We're the ones that have been asleep at the wheel. We're the ones that need to do the work and make up for what we've done over the last 40, 50 years. So that's where I'm at with it. And and we've got to get the education. It's knowledge. Once you have this knowledge, it is powerful. It really is.
100%. All right, mate. Thanks for tonight. Looking forward to seeing you Sunday, coming back over to Port Adelaide for the Family Day. That's happening at Collins Reserve in Kidman Park on Sunday from 11 a.m., Vince. Yeah, from 11 a.m. So you're going to be arriving Saturday. I'll pick you up somewhere. We'll set you up in the bus for the night, mate. Look out.
Sounds good. Well, I was just going to go to the casino for the night and kind of go from there in the morning, but I probably should get a few hours.
All right, mate. Well, I'm not big in casinos anymore. Too many years driving limos out of them. But we'll catch up, I'm sure. So Sunday here, and then are you going to come out to Vic West next Wednesday night as well?
No, I've got so much work that I spoke to Doris about that, and Beck from Truth Seekers, and I've got so much stuff to get ready for this party on Friday week.
Friday night, the 27th.
Look, I'll see how I'm going. Obviously, I'm going to miss out Sunday and Monday because I'm going to be in Adelaide.
Yep.
I'm working Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So, yeah, it's probably a bit much of a stretch.
Might be a bit much. Yep. All right. Well, not to worry. But VoF West Organics in Melton next Wednesday night will be another live show, Voice of Freedom, thanks to Beck from Truth Seekers and the girls, Madeline. I don't know that we can talk
Doris.
about the vaginas. I don't think we can talk about the vagina spritz just yet, but we will on Wednesday night. Be listening out for that, folks, and Doris will be looking out for that too. But I'm really, really keen to get Beck on and have a bit of a chat. Truth Seekers, I think, is going to play a part in the Freedom Broadcasting Network going forward. Or at least I hope that will be the way it will go forward. So we'll have a bit of a chat and see whether or not we got some ground.
Yeah, 100%. And look, there are a lot of groups out there. And I think if we can get more groups to kind of just work a little bit away from all the news, regurgitating news, and get a little bit more into spreading a message that we've been talking about tonight.
Sure.
You know, like I said 4 weeks ago, if we could get all the leaders of all the different groups, all the different organisations around this country, and if they don't want to come, mate, we need the people that follow them to come.
Yeah.
And start to move forward in a different direction, and that's all we we're pushing.
100%, mate. All right, I'll let you go downstairs, get a drink, and stand up, pick up the microphone, and start talking again.
No worries, mate. Thank you, and thanks for, once again. Thank you for giving us this platform to kind of get some stuff out there, and the discussions we have daily almost. It's really really good. It's helpful, and I think that message. It's important to get out there and facilitating that for us and my place as well. But even this, which isn't a my place kind of position, it's purely a Darren Borth kind of position. And I appreciate your support and everything you do. And we'll see you on Saturday.
Cheers, mate. Look forward to it. And see you Saturday. Cheers.
All right,
Darren Borth from My Place Victoria, and My Place Australia, I guess, is probably where he's from. Is the best way to qualify him. What have we been going? 50 odd minutes. So, all right, there's a couple of other things I was going to touch on here tonight. I did download a couple of pictures. We did see how the states are going to fall into line. So you got to fight them in your state. Christopher Fooley, he's well named. Christ a fool, something like that. Anyway, Christopher Fooley, the opposition leader in Queensland, is basically going to run the same story as the Plucker Duck. New South Wales are going to push for treaty where states can't make treaty, and Victoria is going to forge ahead, do the same thing. A couple of other interesting little things coming up. Get ready. You're going to have to defend your land. That's going to be real soon. And Coca-Cola have been implicated in a whole heap of children gone missing in Ukraine. It seems that some paperwork has been found by the Russians, who have gone in and cleaned out certain areas. And it clearly shows that Coca-Cola and a private British military organisation have purchased children and taken them out of Ukraine, and we don't quite know where to from there. This is guaranteed to have happened. The paperwork is out there. You can go and find it for yourself. Here's something else you may not have seen for a little while. Might remind you. Charles Linton was charged and appeared in a court in Bow Street's Magistrates Court for importunity in a public toilet with another male. It was in 1983. Did you happen to know that Charles Linton are the middle names of Tony Blair? That's the fella who they had picked up. And I thought I'd give you this one because I know there's a few Q lovers out there at the moment. Stay looking. There you go. So there's a few little happy things happening out there. Now, I want to go into a couple of the comments that I starred. Let me just try and find those. There were some questions in there. Terry had a great night last night, letting out some truth bombs. Yep, we do need to stand together. Pete, mate, now are we doing that catch up? Email me. Keith would probably be the best place, just between you and me and the great post. 20-year-old son came bounding in and said the words have meaning, right? Well, maybe Australia has no voice. Coded, we are leadershipless. Well, there might be hope for the computer kids yet. Let's hope so. Billy, what have you come up with here? If Australia won't clean out Indonesia out of West Papua and stop Indians from harming West Papuans, and get them their own independent country, then why are we getting involved with Israel? That is a very, very good question. The Australian government refuses to be drawn on West Papua or Irian Jaya, depending on which way you want to look at it. From Indonesia's point, they call it Irian Jaya, and Indonesians run that place pretty much, horrendously. Australians Special Forces do a lot of training in that area. Australian Special Forces have witnessed atrocities in that area. We have video and audio evidence of Indonesian military committing atrocities on tribes people in West Papua. Why do we do nothing about it? That's our government, folks. That's our military. That's the military who are meant to look after people. Okay, meant to look after us, maybe not necessarily the West Papuans, but maybe that's then where we need to look at morals. Why do we let the Indonesians get away with what they do there? Why? Why are the Indonesians so interested in West Papua? Do a little bit of research. You'll find the minerals are the reason. What's in the ground is in the reason there. Billy, Australia can't build a train line from Perth to Broome. How can they build, but they can build Bushmasters for the Ukraine. Bloody good comment. Bloody good comment. Just the last news, all states are going ahead. Yes, we did that. The UN UNDRIP. Now, that is what you need to look at, folks. It's the UNDRIP, the United Nations Director something or other, Indigenous populations. That's what they're going to try and sneak in everywhere at the moment. And, yeah, not so flash. Bill, no, I don't have a green screen behind me. No, I don't have egg crate acoustic foam either. This thing is a core flute. I can show you a green screen, but I don't think you really want to see it, do you? At any rate, that's just a core flute that we have for the windows. Normally, they're turned out and put on the outside of the vehicle, so people know what's going on inside. But I thought tonight I'll just see if I can make it fit in the background. What you can't see is it's gaffer tape to the roof and gaffer tape to the TV and all sorts of other things. So it's not really meant to be there for forever. Jacinta Naparajira Price called for a royal commission into sexual abuse for Aboriginal children, and it's been turned down. Wow, there's a surprise. JJ, have I tried the oysters here yet? Vince, are there oysters?
You could get them, but you'd probably find fresher elsewhere.
I could get oysters here at Mannum, but I could get fresher oysters from somewhere else.
Yeah.
Right, okay, beautiful. Oysters out of the Murray River or out of the ocean?
No, out of the ocean.
Oh, yeah, right. Now, I was going to say, we're a bit far from the ocean.
Yeah, although the water is salty.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. The water's salty enough in Mannum. There you go. Okay. Feel the lull after battle. We need to be prepared to enter those lulls with strength. Musashi says, when an opening presents itself, enter swiftly. Absolutely. I'm not talking about the Musashi bar. Let's just be straight. If you don't know who Musashi is, go and look at that up. Thank you, Paul. And I did see somewhere you said, is there a chance of getting us to a show where you are? Paul, email me, carl@vofhq.com, or email rachel@vofhq.com. Tell me where you are, and we will sort you out. Thank you for the donation too, mate. I really appreciate it. Oh, geez, Bill was good tonight. I've seen all these questions, didn't see who they were from. I just started them. When was Australia One be shown on the live streams? But, oh, yeah, well, they've been busy talking to the Americans. 330 million Americans aren't coming to save 26 million Australians. Trust me. Don't know what point there is, but, oh, well, it's good for the ego. Australia One doesn't talk to Carl anymore. That's a shame. Oh, well, they do talk. Many people in Australia One talk to me. In fact, you'd be amazed how many people in Australia One call me. Everyone who leaves Australia One calls me to tell me they've left. And there's quite a few that are still there that ring me for other reasons. So, yeah, I'm going to shut up on that point for the moment. Don't rule A1 just yet. Geez, how did I starve these questions? They won't talk to anyone if it means shutting down the small voices making waves. Yeah. Okay. They fall in love with personalities rather than focusing on outcomes. David, that is 100% on the money. You could not be more correct. They focus on personalities and they forget about priorities and outcomes, as you say. So, yeah. Duckman, something wrong with the donation button there. If you can't donate on the website that you're watching, you can always go to vofhq.com. There is a donate button there. And better still, you can be a member. Come and join us. That'd be great. We're going to have a few competitions, the odd giveaway or 3, and they'll only go to members. So if you'd like to be a member, vofhq.com, follow the tabs across, and you'll see what's going on there. This is the Canberra Tunneler. I banned him after he started calling us names. So this is a cooker watcher. I hope you're still watching, you numpty, because you've just outed yourself. A degree in pure mathematics. You've been through the brainwashing school. Congratulations to you, you numpty. You are so mortally wounded in the head by being able to accept everything that you were told, that you are now so full of shit you can't see the stars outside. Good luck to you. That's all I'll say. Good luck to you. Really don't care what you think about our movement. Really don't care. You're not smart enough to be part of it. So go off and live your life. Next jab, anyone? Have a great day. I hope you're enjoying the great state of South Australia. I am loving South Australia, even though I've really only come 380 odd kilometres into it so far. But tomorrow I'm going to see a bit more of it. Vince is going to trek me around the northern parts of Adelaide and then up into the north, and we're getting our H2 unit fitted tomorrow with Tim. And what I will do at various times throughout the day tomorrow, but it will probably only be on the Nun 2K channel unless I can figure out how to carry the laptop around and put it where we're doing it. We're going to try and not live stream the whole process, but maybe at different points I'll have a bit of a chat with Tim about what he's doing and explaining what's going on. But I am going to film the whole process, and I'll put that up just as a time-lapse video so that you can see pretty much what sort of work has to happen. This is something that I believe you can do at home, Vince. If you're slightly mechanical, you're able to fit these units yourself at home, or you need to really come and see Tim.
Tim's got a few people around the country.
All right. So Tim has 1 or 2 people around the country who can do it, but it's probably better if you come to the man himself. Spiros would tell you that. Trust me. I've had that chat. Spiros went and had one of these units fitted to his car a while back, and it wasn't working very well. He wasn't terribly happy. I don't think it was working at all. And turns out that he zigged when he should have zagged when he was putting it together, and he brought it back over to Tim, and there was a bit of a head scratch for 5 seconds, and I think Tim fixed it like that. So, it was more than one zigzag. All right, there were a few zigzags. At any rate, don't get your wires crossed in this. It doesn't work very well. But if you get the wires put in the right direction, the right color, it's like your lights come on. Oh. Inside and out. It's like your heater works. It's like the hot water comes on. Oh, that's Vince. Right. Yeah, sorry. Vince is backing. All right, folks, that's about it for me for the night. Thank you very much for having your time with us again tonight. I'm a little bit lost at the moment with times. I know it's difficult. I picked 6:30 tonight because at 6:30 most nights I try and run the show. It's just where the location is. So I know daylight saving screws everything around, and then to add to it, I'm in South Australia. So I don't know whether I'm half an hour ahead or behind of Queensland, an hour behind Victoria, half an hour ahead of Tasmania or Western Australia. I don't know. But 6:30 local is when the shows were going to be from now on. So next week I'll be back in Victoria from Monday. So it'll be 6:30 Victorian time. And I think we're going to do a 7 o'clock show for Vic West, and then the Friday night show at Frankston is going to be a pretty big one, and that could start at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't know, but it'll be going all night. That'll be a fun one to be part of. Beer o'clock, yeah, exactly. So thank you very much to everybody. I'm just having a bit of a look through to see if there was anything I missed down the back end here. That's a very nice thing. I know what I was going to talk to you about briefly. Sex trafficking. Okay. I want you to really understand something about the sex trade, the sex trafficking trade. There is many words used to describe those who deal in the abduction, theft of predominantly women and children but not always women and children. Men are involved as well, where they are put into prostitution. They have their passports taken from them and are told they've got to work their way out to repay their debt, associated thing. Most of that's all built on lies. Where are these traffickers coming from? Well, we refer to them in most cases because of movies and the general knowledge of the subject, even though it might be a light general knowledge that people have. We often hear them referred to and refer to them ourselves as Russian mafia, the Russian sex trafficking trade, the Russian this, the Russian that. The fact is, there are very, very few real Russians involved in the sex trafficking trades. Who runs the sex trafficking trades? The Jews. More particularly, the Khazarian Jews. Now, we've spoken about the Ashkenazi and the Khazarian movements before. If you truly do not understand the difference between those two Jewish movements, then I am about to hit the enter button on a video in the chat screen you should go and watch on BitChute. This is one of the most informative documentaries you will ever find. It is laid out by a lady called Janet Ossenbard, and it is called The Fall of the Cabal. I've just sent a link into the chat for the first 10 sessions of that. There are 17 in the first series. There are another 24 in the second series. The first series will take you through the establishment of the Cabal. It will teach you about Ashkenazi and Khazarian Jews. Learn about them. Learn about Ashkenazi and Khazarian Jews. Learn the difference. Learn those who support and follow the Torah, and learn those that follow the Talmud. The Talmud is what those that follow Baal, Moloch, Satan worship. That's the Ashkenazi. That's the Khazarian Jews. That's the sex traffickers. And if you've watched this show previously, you'll know that the Khazarian Jews moved north into the area now known as Ukraine. But it was part of Russia back when they moved into it. Well, part of a greater area. Russia wasn't even Russia when they moved into it. Watch The Fall of the Cabal. All right? It is an amazingly educational series. And some of the programs run less than 15 minutes. Some of them run a little over 30 minutes. But you're not going to be watching 3 hours of stuff, although you'll wind up watching part 1 through 10 back to back, I would venture. Go and give it a look. If you have not seen Fall of the Cabal, better still, if you have seen Fall of the Cabal some time ago, like me, I probably watched it 3 years ago, go and watch it again. Go and watch it again. It will outline for you exactly when we start, and we have to start speaking Jewish responsibility in this, Khazarian Jewish responsibility. We have to start knowing about the Torah. We have to start knowing about the Talmud. We have to know the difference, because you and I, particularly to those who follow the Talmud, we are goyim. Learn what a goyim is. Right? They want us dead. They're feeding us our own people, and they're laughing about it. If you don't believe me, just watch Fall of the Cabal. If you don't believe that, well, I can't help you. Just pray. We all should be praying every day. The good Lord saves me on the road every day. The good Lord keeps me safe and keeps me blessed. I thank him for his support, and I thank you for yours. Couldn't do it without you. We have a lot of challenges that we're confronted with from time to time, and without your support, we simply couldn't follow those. So I can't thank you enough for all of that support. And if you want us to come to your place, we're happy to come. That's what this vehicle's about. Well, I don't care whether there are 2 people or 200 people or 2,000 people or 200,000 people. It does not matter to me. I do shows and have done all my life by myself in a glass box. On the odd occasion, we get out and meet a few people. Well, the glass box has got bigger. Tonight, the only person I'm doing a show in front of is Vince, and I don't even need him here for that. So shows are shows, all right? But if you want to be part of a show, I don't mind. 2 to 200, 2 to 200,000, doesn't matter. If it's 2, we can probably just do it in here. I don't have to come to your place. But if it's 20, we might have to do it outside. Let Rachel know. Rachel at vofhq.com if you'd like us to come and visit you anytime soon. I'd love to. The only thing that would stop me is running into one of those dickheads on the road.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's ride!